Is anyone home? Let's check if anyone's home. Nobody is home. So you should just fucking do it already. Jesus Christ. Alright, this is a test to see if I can actually fucking do this. So I'm just trying to assess if I can even do things like this. Okay, so the first thing I need to figure out is if I even have a personality to do this, which I think it's something that I can tap into, but I'm not sure if I can stomach watching myself. And I don't really want to invest a whole lot of money into something and then have it fail. Like a $50 microphone, okay, cool, but then if it doesn't pay for itself, then why even bother? Which I think this is the wrong thing to get into. I mean, maybe I should just do more hobbies, but I'm just like so worried about... I also don't know if my voice is even remotely listenable. Like, I don't know how grating my voice could be. And I'm just worried about being awkward a lot. I'm also worried that my face is pretty intense and nobody's friendly with me. Rigid brow. I look like an asshole. Also, I don't want to start looking into my speech patterns because I just talk like this a lot. I think the issue is that I don't know how to talk to nobody, and I feed off of other people a whole lot. Make it work for that facial recognition. I don't really have a topic to talk about because everything gets fucking blasted. Just do a reaction video. That'll work. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll just do a reaction video like everybody else on the fucking planet. What was that? Did I ruin something? Oh boy, this will be fun to edit later. The cool thing about this house is I'm next to a road and a highway, so maybe this isn't the best place to work on things like this. Maybe I should learn lessons. I'm so good at learning lessons. What we have here is green apple Fanta, which tastes like the green apple Jolly Ranchers, which is pretty good. That's my favorite flavor of those. I remember working at the amusement park that I used to work at a few years ago. Kind of brings me back to that, because my mom was on a Jolly Rancher kick, and then she'd be like, "Oh, do you want a snack for work? Like it's friggin' elementary school or something?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. We have vending machines, and I also work in an amusement park where I can get like all the fast food crap that I want." Like one day I actually ate fried dough as a dinner, which was fun. But anyway, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you a bag of Jolly Ranchers," so I'd just be eating those throughout the day, and then kids would come up to the ride and be like, "Oh, can I ride this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, come on in." And then they'd be like, "Oh, your tongue is green." And then I'd feel self-conscious, but not. But yes, I'd feel self-conscious. It's, social anxiety is something I need to work out, obviously. Green apple Fanta. Carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, natural flavors. It's naturally flavored to taste like an artificially flavored beverage. Yeah, people always look at labels and they're like, if I can't pronounce that word, I'm not going to drink it or eat it. Sulfates and sulfides and dinucleotides, and it's like, okay, just because you don't understand something, you're not going to partake in it. I don't really know how a CPU works, like exactly how a CPU works, but I'm using a computer. Yeah. Maybe I should work on framing, because I know this is reversed from... Yeah, I should work on framing. I should also shave because I look like a fucking NEET. Oh, yeah, I know. What do I talk about? Sometimes you plan to do things, and it doesn't really come through. I was like, oh, this was back in, I want to say November last year. And I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Japan because I'm making enough money that that's a financially wise decision. I can still have some money left over. So I was planning out a 2-week trip to Japan starting on the 2nd of September. And I was doing all this stuff to get ready for that. It was all fun. Got a whole lot of yen. Like I have like 40,000 yen worth here. And this isn't really useful in the United States. But anyway, cool thing happened and I was laid off from my job. But anyway, now I walk around with a single 1,000 yen bill in my wallet as a joke to be like, yeah, I have $1,000 in my wallet right now. And they'll be like, oh, how did you fit it? And I'm like, right here, ha ha ha. It's funny. But yeah, I'm putting this together just to see if I can use editing software in any sort of like unique way. Also practicing on like getting a persona and figuring out framing of shots and stuff. Took a film studies class in high school. Almost failed it because, I don't know, I just didn't want to write up a 5-page essay on Fight Club. I mean, can you blame... Power saving mode. And we're back! Cool. You ever see those pictures online where it's like a big screen on like a mall or like a billboard-sized screen somewhere, and it's supposed to have like, oh, deals and advertisements and things like that, and it just has like a Windows error message or something. I've seen those personally a few times, and I'm wondering if the people who are in charge of doing that, like in charge of putting the stuff up on the sign, if they're off-site somewhere, or they're on-site but they're never in an area where they can actually get a clear view of the thing, so they don't actually know what's being shown on it. And if I had a job like that, I would be constantly in fear that like, oh, I'm just going to check out a website real quick or something. What if that's being broadcast to like every single car driving past on the interstate or something like that? And I'm wondering, like, do you ever get scared of like broadcasting your email or something like that, or like broadcasting the fact that you're looking up like softcore women's prison like porn or something like that? Where was I going with this? But yeah, speaking of billboards, there's a place that's actually pretty much in the area where I live, and I don't go by it very often, but this guy he runs a mortgage consulting firm or something like that. And he's got this this big sign that he uses for advertising purposes, or it should be used for advertising purposes in like a normal setting. However, this guy decides that he's going to put out all of his political views, and he also runs like, I guess he runs a website or like some sort of like private network or something like that, where he just puts on blast every time there's like a corrupt politician or something. Like all of these things calling like local New Hampshire senator, I'm bad at this. Put out like a thing that says like, local New Hampshire senator here is a bitch. I can say it because it's true, shitheads. And it's like he's blasting this out in like to a public area because it's like he has, from what I know and what I've seen, he has 2 signs in different areas. One of them is on a highway exit, and the other one is on a state highway where a lot of people who are coming into New Hampshire from Massachusetts can see this. So it's like he'll put swear words on it, and people will complain, and then it'll be like, oh well, we have to go down there and hand him a fine and censor him and stuff. And it's like, at what point is that not free speech, is the question? Because like, it's his private property, so he can do what he wants with it, but then at the same time it's like, what is this reflecting on the areas around the town that's hosting this place or something? The really unfortunate thing about this is that this The sign that is off the highway, this guy has this huge sign where he's like putting on blast all of the corrupt politicians and stuff, and then it's like almost Alex Jones level weirdness. The thing is, he doesn't have the name of his company on top of the sign. It just occasionally, after it's calling a senator a pedophile apologist whatever or something like that, it'll be like, come on in for a free consultation or something like that. About 80% of the time, if you're passing by this sign, you're not going to see advertising for his business, but you do see the signs right underneath it for a dental clinic. So it looks like this dental clinic is broadcasting to the world that it's like Alex Jones level conspiracy bullshit. So that's a thing. Caps are awesome. I need to make money. Go ahead, damage your camera. I don't care. The only thing that sucks about this is that you can use the sights and try to line up the sights, but then the laser goes in another direction. I mean, that really resonates with me as a male, that frustration. But I'd still like it if it could just go straight. It's funny because you can pay upwards of like $70 for these things at cons, but then you can't use them at most cons because of the laser pointer thing. Also because it's a battery, also because it looks like a gun. I should just blind myself. I should just end it all and blind myself. I'm a very visually stimulated person, so that would suck. Sometimes my grandfather would ask me some very interesting questions. Would you rather go blind or would you rather go deaf? And then he'd talk about how different people he's known over his life have given him different answers and why. The thing is, he'd like come out very opinionated on blast, like, oh, I'd rather go deaf any day of the week, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody will be like, well, insert name of Shin's grandfather here. You listen to music a lot. You have a lot of, like, AV equipment that you've spent a lot of money on over the course of your life, so don't you think you'd be missing a whole lot there? Another question he asked me, and this was well before it became, like, a huge thing. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Yeah, long before it became like in the vogue to talk about things like this. My grandfather actually said to me one day, I was like maybe 7 or 8, and he just like sits down at the dining room table and he's like, you know what's great? Being a white man in America. And I mean, this guy, even though he's an atheist, he's pretty conservative. So it was interesting to hear him say that. I didn't really think too much about it, because I was like, maybe he's just saying it in like a vaguely racist way or something like that. But he was actually like acknowledging privilege before people started calling for people like him to acknowledge their privilege. So he was like ahead of the game on that, but then it just like when it became an in vogue thing to do and people were calling for it, I was like, that's not gonna help. It's not going to stop that from continuing. It's not going to stop people from having a hand up. $8,000 milliamp hours. 2,200 milliamp hours. Are you sure that this has such a high capacity? 3,350 milliamp hours at 12.06 watt hours. 3 of these fit into here? Guess I could see it, but like about a little less than 4 these fit in here, but I've seen the cell in this thing and it's like maybe a little bit bigger than a AA battery. Is that a thing? Like, we have AA and AAA, and I've heard of quadruple A and all sorts of those weird batteries that insulin pumps use. Guess it sucks to be diabetic. You're always having to deal with all those friggin' batteries. I'm looking up a battery. Not size A battery, a battery. 4/5 AA, half AA, quadruple A, triple A, double A, A. Hold on a sec. So this is about 50 millimeters by 17 millimeters, which would fit in this. And it is a round cell, so I guess that's what's in here. Mobile battery packs help. Statement! Maybe I shouldn't be putting my mouth on this, since it was on the underside of a car for 6 months. I guess this is also a good test of the battery, but I don't think I've charged this battery in like several weeks. I haven't been really doing much with this camera, but who knows the limitations. What do I want to do? Transitions!